Do you ever feel the pressure of acting like you've got it all together and you've got everything figured out? Like, even when you're struggling inside, there's this voice that's telling you to stay composed, keep pushing, don't show it on the outside. Lately, I've really had to face that I'm not perfect. I'm probably never going to be, and neither are you. I don't say this lightly. I say this because it hit me very recently through someone that I love and respect deeply. What is up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. If you don't know me, my name is Ishaan, and welcome to the video. When I started this YouTube channel, I never initially intended to talk about my dating or relationships. And the reason for that is mostly because of family things. Like, I don't want my relatives to see or know about some stuff, and personal insecurities as well. And especially since my breakup after 2022, that's when I broke up with my college girlfriend at the time that I was deeply and madly in love with. I honestly wasn't ready and wanting to open myself up again to another relationship, so I only opted for short-term, situationships and whatnot. But I started seeing someone recently, and she's just naturally pushing me in ways that I want to grow in. And this relationship sort of dynamic is teaching me so many things that it feels unfair to not talk about it on camera anymore. So here I am. At the start of this year, one of my goals was to really delve deeper into my masculinity and figure out what it means to me beyond the perception of what I've learned from self-improvement YouTubers or through online, social media things. It's extremely difficult to explore this alone. And I say that from experience. After I left my job in 2024 and moved away to Sweden for a month and a half, then came to New Jersey, then moved to Indiana to start my PhD program. From May 2024 through November/December of 2024, I pretty much abstained from meeting new women. And if something came along the way, I tested the waters, but it wasn't anything where I gave myself entirely to anyone. And I really needed that time to figure out what relationships really even mean to me. Why am I pursuing something with another person if it's coming from a place of, you're an adult, you're expected to be in a relationship, you're expected to be with someone. But more of it was just the, pressure that I was putting on myself. That's most of our problems are really in what we make up in our minds. But all that to say, in that time period, I really spent a lot of time by myself, which allowed me to delve deeper into learning and unlearning some of the things that I wanted to explore related to masculinity and what it means to me. And then following that, when I started in 2025, on my vision board, that was something that I wrote down that I want to focus on and keep exploring. And somehow life brought this person into my life, and I couldn't be more grateful. And being in this relationship dynamic is showing me the gaps and discrepancies between what I believe versus how I actually show up. And that's kind of what I want to talk more about. We've had some difficult conversations recently, and I'm realizing that I've been trying so hard to be good, to avoid mistakes, and to do and say all the right things that sometimes along that way I lose the one thing that I want to develop and give the most. And that's my presence. I have this reminder on the back of my phone that I saw on a social media post one day, but I really resonated with it, so I wrote it down. To be masculine is to create safety, not by walls, but by presence. And I want to embody that to the best of my ability so I can hold space, not just for myself, but also for my woman, you know? To actually like be there. In a world where most people are mentally checked out, I think presence is the most precious gift that you can give to anyone. I used to think it was time, but it's not. You can give someone like your time and still be mentally checked out thinking about all the other things that are going in your life. But presence is like I said, in this world where everything is competing for our attention through different sources, school, work, literally everything. Presence is the most beautiful gift that you can give to your partner. And the truth is that I overthink things so much in my mind. I shut down sometimes, I fall into old patterns, I get stuck in my head thinking and trying to analyze everything instead of just being there sometimes. And in trying so hard to look like I have it all together, in that process, I fall apart, or like I'm not really together at all. And that's really hard to come to terms with sometimes because I've been on a personal growth journey for so long. And the crazy thing is that when I'm with her, I feel so rooted and grounded in the present most of the times. But there are certain times where I slip up, I lose my way. And I have to remind myself that in some way that's okay, because imperfection is not the enemy. Imperfection is not the enemy or the issue. Imperfection is the doorway. It's the doorway to connection. It's the doorway to vulnerability. And it's where the healing and growing truly begins. Awareness is step one in recognizing what is it that you want to work on, and then action is the next step, so you actually work towards that goal or developing that skill that you want to develop. People, humans, they don't connect with perfection. Perfection doesn't actually exist. People connect with truth. Humans connect with truth. And that happens when you're willing to have the strength to open up about your mistakes, about your faults. I realized this through my partner, but also through this YouTube channel. Like when I first started making videos, and you can go back to seeing my old cringy videos, bro. I gave advice. Like I said things that, yeah, like I needed to hear those things as well, which is why I made those videos. But back then I remember like my goal was to speak to an audience. My goal was to speak to like you in a way. But in hindsight, some of it felt a little staged, or felt like I had to act like I have it all together so you actually believe me. With time, of course, I evolved, my mindset evolved, and I realized that just because other YouTubers like to, portray themselves in that way, so people either buy their things, or I don't know, people follow their mindset or follow their footsteps, is not something that I want to do. Because the truth is that I don't want you to follow in my footsteps. That's how I initially started. But as I've grown, I'm realizing that I have to lead by example, by living the most authentic life that I can lead for myself. And hopefully that inspires you or pushes you to do the same for yourself. But what that means is that our paths are likely not going to look the same. And that's good. Like, that's so good. Because we're unique, like we're unique individuals, and we're supposed to have unique paths. And I want to inspire you to start your journey, like your personal journey, and undertake what it is that you really want to get better at and you want to grow in. while being completely honest about the things that I'm going through in my life. Like I said, people connect with the truth, and that's the kind of content that I consume now. That's the kind of content that I want to continue consuming, and we'll see where that takes me. So I'm learning to meet myself where I'm at, trying to find that balance of tough love, which I've learned through the past few years specifically, but also deep compassion, which I'm finally starting to internalize more and more. Remembering that I don't need to show up perfect, I just need to be present and in touch with myself. If you're still watching, chances are that you probably needed this reminder as well. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to perform your worth. You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to make mistakes. That's the whole point of life, is to make mistakes, learn, and grow. You're allowed to show up messy and still be worthy of love. And this last one, honestly, this has been the hardest for me, because for so long I've tied my worth to my achievements, that trying to just show how much I could prove, which really just stems from my immigrant background and also things that I've picked up from social media or self-help YouTubers. But that version of love is so conditional, even for the self and for others. But real love, it doesn't need proof, it just needs presence. And now that I'm saying all this out loud, I'm realizing that, yeah, this hit me very deeply through someone else that I love and respect. But this goes for my inner self as well. Like, in the past, I really have tied my self-love to achievements, to things that I'm doing or working on, and when I hit certain goals or milestones, I'm like, oh yeah, like I love myself now. When really that's not. Self-love is the beginning to growth and change. Material things are only going to amplify what's already within you. And if you don't have that love, if you don't foster that self-care like already with where you are right now, and be wholeheartedly accepting of your faults, mistakes, and insecurities, then those things are just going to be exacerbated as you continue to pursue the material things. I've learned this from experience, so if you don't believe me on this, that's perfectly okay. Try it out, and perhaps you'll find that out for yourself as well. But the key takeaway here that I want to leave you with is that trust, you're okay, you're growing, you're doing the best that you can with what you know and understand about the world right now. And that's honestly more than enough. Show yourself some compassion, find that balance with tough love. With all that said, I will wrap the video up here. If you've made it this far into it, truly appreciate you tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next one.